After Huawei Mate 60 Pro was suddenly launched before the press conference, related news is still flooding the screen until now. Laboratories in Japan, Germany, Canada and other countries have conducted disassembly tests one after another, and the results are all shocking and they say it is incredible. Welcome to subscribe to Silicon Dragon. We are a YouTube channel focusing on chip technology. We will bring you the latest technology information on the technology war between China and the United States. Among them, the focus of attention is Kirin 9000S chip manufacturing. Although relevant revelations continue to be made online, neither Huawei nor SMIC has released any relevant information, but it still arouses concern. If true, Liang Mengsong deserves a lot of credit. Tech Insights, a world-renowned market research organization, recently stated that it learned about the processor of Huawei Mate 60 Pro from the Ottawa laboratory in Canada. Based on relevant deductions, SMIC's latest generation process should be used. As the most technologically advanced wafer foundry in mainland China, SMIC has previously manufactured Kirin 710A chips for Huawei using the 14 nanometers process. Later, due to the US modification of chip regulations, SMIC had to stop, and then there was no relevant news. Some time ago, SMIC's official website suddenly offline the 14 nanometers process introduction. This move caused a lot of attention and speculation. You know, SMIC has already achieved mass production of the 14 nanometers process, and its yield rate has equaled that of TSMC and reached the world's leading level. However, equipment and other aspects still depend on foreign countries, and the US restriction standard has been raised to 14 nanometers. In order to avoid unnecessary risks, it is normal for SMIC to introduce the 14 nanometers process offline. Low-key development is more conducive to better technical adjustments. Although the development of advanced processes is restricted, research and development of advanced processes can still be carried out. Liang Mengsong is silently undertaking this important job, so SMIC's chip manufacturing level should actually be higher. So, how high is SMIC's technical level? From Liang Mengsong's previous resignation letter, we can understand some situations. Of course, Liang Mengsong did not really resign. He wrote it in anger because of Zhuang Shania's return. In his resignation letter, Liang Mengsong stated at the time that he had completed 5 generations of technology development from 28 nanometers to 7 nanometers in more than 3 years since he came to SMIC. This may take more than 10 years in ordinary companies, which shows how powerful drive Liang is. Before Liang Mengsong came to Samsung, Samsung's technology surpassed TSMC. It can be said that whether one person stays or not determines the growth and decline of the two giants. It can be seen that the development of 7 nanometers technology has been completed. It was previously reported that small batch trial production would be carried out, but the news disappeared after the US imposed restrictions. Because ASML is restricted from shipping EUV lithography machines to SMIC, it is very difficult to proceed below 7 nanometers. However, previous relevant news showed that SMIC has developed N+1 and N+2 processes. Tech Insights discovered last year that chips using the N+1 process are equivalent to the primary level of 7 nanometers. Due to the small production volume, it did not attract attention. The N+2 process is considered SMIC's next generation 7 nanometers process, and should be more advanced, but there is no official information. However, Tech Insights recently learned from the Ottawa laboratory in Canada that Huawei's Kirin 9000S chip should use SMIC's latest generation process technology, which is the N+2 process, but Tech Insights is not completely sure. Theoretically, the 7 nanometers process technology can be realized using the existing ASML immersion DUV. TSMC has operated in this way before, but the yield was too low and the cost was too high. After the emergence of EUV, TSMC no longer uses this method. If SMIC can use existing conditions to solve this problem, then the only possibility is probably Liang Mengsong. There is no doubt about Liang Mengsong's technical strength. At that time, he made contributions to TSMC's key technology nodes, but was not valued and reused. He was also squeezed out by Zhang Chongmao and angrily ran to Samsung. As a result, Samsung's technology once surpassed chips, so he is still quietly researching and developing at SMIC. Liang Mengsong has led the team to help SMIC achieve a technological leap, and his contribution to China chip is immeasurable at present. How Huawei's Kirin 9000S chip is produced is still just anecdotal, but there is a high probability that it will be produced domestically. If it is confirmed that it is manufactured by SMIC, then Liang Mengsong will undoubtedly be an epoch-making figure in Chinese semiconductors. Foreign media have stated that if the N+2 process is confirmed, the Kirin 9000S will be a major milestone and breakthrough in China's semiconductor industry. The global semiconductor industry pattern will change as a result, and the US's many years of chip restrictions will be completely in vain. King Shagir was once a technical boss of TSMC, and Zhang Chongmao paid special attention to him. He also played a key role in TSMC's technological progress. Zhang Shagir is familiar to us because of his experience of entering and exiting SMIC and Wuhan Hongxin. After that, Zhang Shagir did not remain silent and joined Honhai Group, the parent company of Foxconn. Recently, Zhang Shagir spoke out again, revealing the reasons for leaving SMIC and pointing out the shortcomings of our chip development. However, foreign media believed that he had selfish motives after all. First, let's talk about the reasons why Zhang Shagir left SMIC. Zhang Shagir first joined SMIC in 2016 and then resigned in 2019 because he was invited by Wuhan Hongxin to serve as CEO. Unexpectedly, the project was unfinished and Zhang Shagir withdrew. When Zhang Shagir came to SMIC for the first time, he was still fulfilling his promise to Zhang Chongmao and could not develop related technologies to compete with TSMC. Therefore, Zhang Shagir made little technical contribution during this period, so SMIC agreed to his resignation and went to Hongxin. However, the experience of Wuhan Hongxin made Zhang Shagir think that he had been deceived. During the interview, he said that this was a story that he remembered deeply. After quitting Hongxin, Zhang Shagir rejoined SMIC in December 2020 and left again in Latin. The reason disclosed to the public is that he wants to spend more time with his family, but how can it be so simple? After leaving SMIC, Zhang Shagir has now joined Honhai Group, the parent company of Foxconn, and is still engaged in the semiconductor industry, which shows that he did not leave because he wanted to spend time with his family. Recently, Zhang Shagir said bluntly that he was not trusted in SMIC at that time. For example, he said that at that time, senior officials inspected the SMIC factory, but he was refused to participate in the event because he was not a mainland citizen. In this regard, some foreign media believe that this may be Zhang Shagir's selfishness, looking for reasons for his resignation. During Zhang Shagir's time at SMIC, he made no technical contributions and did not fulfill his promise to obtain an EUV lithography machine. Why should he be trusted? On the other hand, after Liang Mengsong arrived at SMIC in 2017, he has been engaged in technology research and development. In just 3 years, he helped SMIC complete the technology leap from 28nm to 7nm. However, Zhang Shagir arrived at SMIC early, but he left 2 companies second-rate. There is also Zhang Shagir, who wants to realize his small chip ambition at SMIC. His second departure should be related to the difficulty in realizing his ambition. Secondly, Zhang Shagir believes that our chip development needs to be reviewed. In an interview, Zhang Shagir also said that the US chip ban will definitely slow down the development of mainland semiconductors, but it will also allow the mainland to speed up the pace of
Möglichen
localization.
verbesserte Wege der
It is not yet
Übertragung
known
und
whether it will
gewährleisten die
succeed. It is worth
verlustfreie
mentioning that Zhuang Shagir specifically mentioned that the way we do semiconductors should be reviewed,
Umwandlung in
because the
nutzbare
mainland
Energie.
started manufacturing
In der
semiconductors
Industrie
more than 10
reduzieren
years
sie die
ago, and the US chip restrictions only happened in recent years, and it was not very successful before. However, Zhuang Shagir did not specifically say what needs to be reviewed. This may be selfish and does not want to cause trouble. However, based on Zhuang Shagir's experience in Wuhan Hongxin and SMIC, it should be possible to analyze certain situations. For example, the Wuhan Hongxin project did not really want to make semiconductors, but was intended to record superiors of funds and show regulatory loopholes. We do need to review this aspect, especially after the chip construction boom in mainland China. We need to be even more cautious, because there is an influx of more funds.
Ist nicht nur bezaubernd und lebenswert, es ist auch der innovativste und erfolgreichste
away, eliminating many speculators. It is understood that tens of thousands of new chip companies have been added in recent years, but at the same time, nearly 10,000 companies have cancelled or withdrawn one after another. Before the US chip restrictions, we had indeed begun to develop the chip industry long ago. However, at that time, the trend of making is worse than buying was still prevalent, and the development of the chip industry was very difficult. We had no experience and were subject to foreign restrictions, so it was inevitable that we would take some detours. Now the situation has completely changed. The US chip restrictions have made us understand the importance of chip independence. The domestic chip industry has begun to work hard. All aspects of the industrial chain are working hard, and the speed of chip development has begun to accelerate. Recently, the news of Huawei chip Kirin 9000S has come, which further illustrates that our mainland chips have made breakthrough progress, in addition to the above. Zhuang Shagir also talked about the four keys to TSMC's success. Among them, TSMC's
unser Herz
business
schlägt
model,
für Hightech
Zhang Thomas
und es
management
pulsiert in
style,
Dresden.
and the key to
Denn
technical
Dresden
talents are all worthy of reference for the development of the semiconductor industry in
für
mainland
drei der
China
wichtigsten
from the perspective of
Wachstumsfelder dieser
employment
Zeit.
experience. After Zhuang
Energieeffizienz,
Shagir retired from TSMC, he was very much like a professional manager, suitable for management and making suggestions as a consultant. Liang Mengsong is the real technology
Infineon
boss.
Technologies
After
ist
coming to
einer der
SMIC,
größten
he has been
Halbleiterhersteller.
specializing in research and development. Therefore, keeping Liang Mengsong and letting Zhuang
Infineon
Shagir
Chips
leave is the
für eine
right choice on the
grundlegend
whole
verbesserte
and is conducive to the
CO2-Bilanz,
long-term development of SMIC. After reviewing the series of events in December 2020, we
Zukunft
found that
wettbewerbsfähig
SMIC senior
bleibt. Die
leadership was in
partnerschaftliche
turmoil.
Zusammenarbeit
Liang
aller
Mengsong,
Akteure
a technical expert, proposed to resign at that time, but in fact he did not really want to leave. He resigned because he was dissatisfied with SMIC's hiring of Zhuang Shagir, a decision that made him feel disrespected. It is worth noting that SMIC's senior leadership structure is relatively simple and does not have a large board of directors. In addition to each holding different positions, there are some executive directors, and Liang Mengsong is one of them. Therefore, as executive director, he should have been informed of the decision in advance. Although SMIC later successfully retained Liang Mengsong by raising wages and giving away real estate, it has to be admitted that his retention was not because of money, but more because he felt he had regained respect. Liang Mengsong once said that he was not pursuing high-ranking officials and rich salaries, and even donated his income from SMIC. This move was also praised by Wang Xin of the United States. However, in the following year, many core senior personnel of SMIC resigned one after another. The first is the resignation of core technical staff of Jigang. Although he had just received equity worth in the tens of millions, he still chose to resign and gave up this huge equity shortly thereafter. SMIC chairman Zhou Zixu resigned as chairman but continued to serve as executive director. 2 months later, Zhuang Shagir also suddenly resigned from all positions, including vice chairman, executive director and member of the board of directors strategy committee of SMIC. 4 months later, SMIC officially announced that Zhou Zixu also resigned from his position as executive director, which meant that he would no longer be associated with SMIC. This series of senior departures raises some important questions. First of all, although Liang Mengsong has made outstanding contributions in advanced technology, his reliance on him has become more obvious in terms of technology research and development, especially after Wu Zhigang resigned. This may result in only Liang Mengsong's voice in technical decisions. If his decision-making fails, there will be serious consequences. Secondly, Zhuang Shakir showed unique vision in formulating SMIC's long-term strategy. He emphasized the development of advanced packaging and small chip system integration technology, and this strategy has been proven in the market, such as Apple's M1 Ultra chip. However, Zhuang Shakir's departure may affect SMIC's future strategic decisions, because executives with similar vision are not easy to find. Finally, Zhou Zixu played the role of communication between Liang Mengsong and Zhao Haijun. He played a key role in an important decision involving power management chips and production capacity. However, his departure could lead to a breakdown in communication channels, which could lead to potential conflicts and problems. Taken together, although SMIC retains Liang Mengsong, the departure of these three senior personnel means that the company will face many uncertainties. Technology dependence, loss of strategic vision, and disruption of communication channels can all have a negative impact on the company's future. In general, the chip manufacturing industry has entered a stage of diversified development, and technological solutions such as advanced processes, advanced packaging, and small chip integration all have room for development. The future development of SMIC will be affected by many uncertain factors. We will wait and see how the future of this industry will evolve. In recent years, the rapid development of the semiconductor industry has had a significant impact on global technology and economic models. Strict export control policies on semiconductor manufacturing equipment have attracted widespread attention after the United States, Japan and the Netherlands reached an agreement among them. ASML of the Netherlands, as one of the world's major lithography equipment suppliers, has attracted great attention from the media and industry. At the same time, Japanese semiconductor equipment giant Nikon is not to be outdone, and announced that it will significantly increase shipments of lithography equipment in the Chinese market. These measures have attracted the attention and reflection of relevant companies such as SMIC, and also herald opportunities for the reconstruction of the semiconductor industry chain, and the rise of China's semiconductor industry. Dutch ASML is the world's leading manufacturer of semiconductor lithography equipment. After the Dutch government announced new export control regulations on September 1st, ASML issued a statement indicating that it will continue to sell high-end lithography machines to customers in mainland China until 2024.
Alle Forschung und Fertigung vernetzt tausende Mitarbeiter. Ihr Ziel?
Lithography equipment due to the implementation of new regulations. The export of related equipment will be more strictly controlled, and obtaining a license is not easy. At the same time, ASML also expressed its different position from Japan in the early stages of US chip control. ASML executives made it clear that shipments of double lithography systems could still be delivered to Chinese companies
Schicken Sicherheitsstandards. Etwa 2000 hochqualifizierte Mitarbeiterinnen und Mitarbeiter.
Thereby establishing a strong reputation in the market. Nikon, a Japanese semiconductor equipment giant, also responded to the export control regulations. Nikon announced plans to triple its lithography machine shipments to the Chinese market by 2026. This move is not only an expression of dissatisfaction with export control regulations, but also a helpless move to fight for its own interests. Nikon's business scope is similar to ASML, and EUV lithography machines have not yet been independently produced. Nikon's shipments in the domestic market are currently severely affected. In the second quarter of this year, Nikon only sold 6 lithography machines. Shipments fell 60% year-on-year. and net profit plummeted 78.3%. If Nikon complies with relevant control measures and does not export photolithography equipment to Chinese companies, its market share will further shrink. There are obvious differences between the attitudes of the Netherlands and Japan in terms of export control regulations. Dutch ASML pays more attention to its own interests and whether it will be affected by US export controls. Therefore, they continue to export to the Chinese market and strive for greater sales by accelerating the sales of lithography equipment. Benefit. In contrast, Japanese companies are more inclined to cooperate with U.S. semiconductor equipment control. When Japan announced export control regulations in the Netherlands, it had already announced that it would control the export of semiconductor equipment. This decision suddenly appeared and caused dissatisfaction among some Japanese local semiconductor equipment companies. China has long been aware that Western countries such as the Netherlands and Japan are disrupting semiconductor production possibility of physical equipment supply, so corresponding preparations have been made for positioning substitutions. Although domestically manufactured chip equipment is mainly used to produce mature process chips, some progress has been made in positioning substitution. According to U.S. restrictions on chips, Chinese companies' ability to independently manufacture chips is not completely restricted. ASML President Wen Ning once said that restrictions will only speed up China's independent research and development of semiconductor equipment, and the United States will eventually lift a stone to drop itself in the foot. In fact, the United States-owned think tanks also believe that the United States chip control strategy will Americanize the world, while the domestic semiconductor industry has long relied on imported equipment. We have seen the rise of China's chip industry. The export control restrictions imposed by the Netherlands, Japan and other countries have only accelerated the pace of independent research and development and manufacturing of semiconductor equipment in China. Since the localization of domestic chip manufacturing equipment such as wafer cutting machines and iron implanters, China has begun to make certain progress in chip equipment in some mature process fields. Although the Netherlands and Japan strictly control the export of equipment such as photolithography machines, China is accelerating the pace of independent manufacturing of high-end chip equipment. Faced with export controls, China's chip industry has the advantage of independent research and development and manufacturing. The control measures of the Netherlands and Japan will only accelerate China's independent research and development, and also provide China with an opportunity to build a chip industry that is not controlled by the United States. While restrictions may take a long time, America's own businesses will suffer an increasingly severe blowback. In short, the export controls of the Netherlands and Japan have brought challenges to the Chinese chip industry, but they have also provided important opportunities for the independent research and development and manufacturing of Chinese chip equipment. China recognizes this challenge and has accelerated the research, development and production of domestic high-end chip equipment. At the same time, international cooperation and technology sharing are also important ways for the development of China's chip industry. Through joint efforts with international partners, China will promote the development of the entire industrial chain and help China become an important force in global chip manufacturing as the little brother of the United States. South Korea will definitely jump up and down as long as the United States launches sanctions against China. It is precisely because of this that after the United States issued a signal of sanctions, South Korea responded to the United States call and launched chip sanctions against China. As an important chip giant in the world, South Korea's move has caused a big impact on China in this area. However, just when they were complacent, in March 2023, a set of data directly slapped Koreans in the face. As of January 2023, South Korea's chip inventory has been soaring, reaching 265%. In other words, Koreans hold assets worth hundreds of billions, but they have absolutely no way to hide them. Such a situation makes Koreans anxious. In the past, other people have been begging South Korea to buy chips. Why does this happen? And what is China's attitude towards this? Why is South Korea, which relies on chips for its good food and spicy food, seeking death? In 2018, as Western countries pursued Chinese chips, China faced a state of being unable to use them for a long time. At this point in time, a large number of Chinese people were angry but helpless, but compared to China's anger, Koreans are very proud of this, for no other reason than this small country, which is no more than the size of a Chinese province, has made more than 300 billion yuan just by selling chips. As early as the 1960s, South Korea itself was still poor. However, with the outbreak of Japan's economic bubble, the United States curbed the development of Japan's semiconductor industry. With the support of the United States, South Korea successfully mastered chip technology. So far, South Korea's chip industry can be said to be in a state of decline. From then on, South Korea, which originally had no idea what industry it should rely on to develop the country, has become very popular by relying on the continued development of the new film industry. Not only that, among the top companies in the current chip industry, chip giants such as Samsung, SK, and Hynix are gathered in this small country. Therefore, from the perspective of South Korea's industrial structure, chips have become one of the four carriages that support South Korea's rapid development in recent years. With the rapid development of China's economy, China's annual trade volume of imported chips from South Korea has reached hundreds of billions. Not only that, the ambitious South Korea also announced that it will go all out to become the big brother in the semiconductor industry by 2025. But if the trade development between the two countries continues as it is, this pillar of South Korea will still be unable to stand. However, South Korea is an out-and-out slave of the United States. As early as 2018, the Sino-US trade war has quietly begun. As for why it wants to do this, the purpose of the United States is very clear, which is to use such means to curb the further development of China's cutting-edge technology. Chip is one of them. However, after imposing sanctions on many Chinese companies such as ZTE and Huawei, the United States was not satisfied and stopped its own local chip companies and asked them to stop selling chips to our country. But the United States was not satisfied with this, so it turned its attention to South Korea, faced with an American father, South Korea. Although the Chinese market is said to be very popular, how could South Korea not listen? At the call of the United States, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol became a steel knife of the United States. He first asked Samsung to completely block Chinese chips. South Korean chip companies responded. In their view, imposing chip sanctions on China will help balance the relationship between China and South Korea, trade between the two countries, and help further deepen South Korea's weight in the international chip market. As a result, the United States, Japan and South Korea officially launched sanctions on Chinese chips. Regarding this, these countries have made very good calculations. They claim that it will not take long for China to lose in this chip sanction. After that, South Korea once again followed the footsteps of the United States and pointed out China's internal affairs. As soon as the news came out, it aroused the anger of a large number of Chinese netizens. It is undeniable that the impact of this chip sanctions war on China is indeed not small. Not only that, if China fails to successfully overcome this difficulty, the balance of China's semiconductor industry chain will be broken due to chip shortages, and it will face a greater crisis. By then, just as a large number of netizens lamented this predicament, Ren Zhengfei, the president of Huawei, who was maliciously sanctioned, said that when the supply of chips exceeds demand and there is overcapacity, people will naturally kneel down and beg us to buy them. At that time, many people still doubted Ren Zhengfei's words, but soon his words were fulfilled in recent days. In 2023, South Korea was only in the first few months of the year, and the trade between China and South Korea suffered a sharp decline. Compared with the past, it fell by 1/4, equivalent to tens of billions of sales. And more, it is heartbreaking for South Korea. Not only that, if we focus on the export of South Korean chips, it is even more disastrous. Among
Im
them,
Silicon
South
Saxony
Korean
ist ein
chip
weiterer
exports
Garant
only
für den
1/5
Erfolg
of
von
the same
Infineon
period
Dresden.
last year. Samsung, which was originally very good, has seen its profits plummet. It was like jumping off a building, plummeting 97%, making no profit, and even losing hundreds of millions. No one may be able to bear such ups and downs. You are eating the Chinese people's food, but you want to destroy the Chinese people's rice bowls. To be in such a situation, you can only say that you deserve it. It's not surprising why there are people in South Korea crying bitterly and calling for confrontation between China and the United
Verschiedene
States.
Produkte werden
The
hier
worst
gleichzeitig
situation is South
gefertigt, mit
Korea,
höchster
because
Qualität
the chips
und
cannot be
Erstklasse.
sold in the end. What we mentioned at the beginning of the
Infineon
article
Technologies.
appeared as of the beginning of this year. South Korea's chip inventory is as high as 265.7%. South Korea's finance minister had to warn that if the chip problem continues to decline like this, it may be
Weiter
difficult to
bringen
change
täglich
South Korea's
Innovationen
sluggish
und neue
export
technische
trend.
Erkenntnisse aus
Seeing
der
the bleak
Fertigungsnahen
situation, many South Korean companies have called on the United States to ask the United
Die immer
States
weniger
to stop
Kraftstoff
sanctions.
verbrauchen und
Although
immer
South
sicherer
Korea
und
wants to remedy
komfortabler
the
werden.
situation before it is too late, it may actually be a little late to do so. Over the years, China has been faced with being pursued and intercepted by the United States in various ways, of which chips are particularly important. Therefore,
Und der
in order to
Mikroelektronik
break
in
this
ganz
situation,
Europa.
China has been
Mit
making
Infineon
continuous
Technologies,
efforts, including the processor independently developed by Liang Company and the recent release of Huawei Mate 60. This all shows that these countries have imposed
Verkehr oder
sanctions on
elektronische
China,
Ausweise.
and China
Sie
has
erfüllen die
become stronger and
höchstmöglichen
stronger. It may
Sicherheitsstandards.
take a long time for South Korea to resume its market access to China, but if it
Und
had honestly
Energieeffizienz
cooperated with
bis hin
China,
zum
how
Internet
could
der
it have
Dinge.
ended up in this situation? Faced with such a situation, we can only use Kissinger's words to describe it. Being an enemy of the United States may be
Kommt das Leben
dangerous,
einfacher,
but becoming a
sicherer
friend
und
of the United
umweltfreundlicher.
States is
Mit
fatal.
Technik, die
Nowadays,
mehr leicht einer der
China
modernsten
is getting better and
Fertigungsstandorte
better.
weltweit.
I only
Infineon
hope that one
Dresden
day,
lebt schon
all
heute.
industries in China can be like Huawei now, saying that the boat has crossed the 10,000 mountains.